So why do we even learn about loops and arrays at the same time, right? You can already maybe start to paint the picture. Loops, right, are great for repeating things, and arrays are great for storing multiple things. So really, if you marry the two, you can do quite impressive things with very, very short code, very concise code. So loops and arrays, they go hand in hand. So dry arrays. So our code in our accessing and modifying array elements looks awfully repetitive. So check it out, right? This was our code before. So here's where we accessed. Again, I'm missing a value here. And then here's where we modified. It's pretty repetitive code. We're doing the same thing over and over again. There has to be a better way, right? If we don't want to violate the do not repeat yourself principle in programming. Well, it turns out loops, if you marry them with arrays, you get a beautiful, beautiful union. So in both templates, we use the built-in length property. So these are the templates here. It turns out you can use loops for accessing array elements really quickly, really concisely. I shouldn't say quickly, right? More about concise code. Because really, the previous code executes in the same time as this code. But this code looks a lot nicer, right? It's going to adhere to the do not repeat yourself principle. So yeah, if you want to access elements in an array, simple as using a for loop. And this is where the magic happens. We're using the counter variable as our index to access the elements. Same if we want to assign it, right? Because remember, accessing and modifying the array elements is kind of the same syntax. So by using the counter variable as our index variable, we can really do this in just a few lines of code. This is much shorter than this, right? A lot of lines of code, really complicated, really repetitive, super concise, easy to read, right? If you understand your loops. Um, Notice we're using the built-in length property. So this is how we can appropriately tell the loop when to stop. Well, you should stop when you reach the end of the array. So that's why we say array.length. So the length property is built in for Java arrays, and it helps us write the loop condition so that we don't go out of bounds. And yeah, that's loops and arrays. They work really well together. You can test this out, right? You can initialize an array and then try printing it out and see if it does indeed work. And you'll notice it does. Yeah, pull out your IntelliJ and check it out. So here's an example, right? Just like I said, you could try this on your own. If I wanted to print out the scores, I could use my loop, start at the 0 index, end when you reach the length of the array. So you're not going to actually iterate that one. So it's going to print, it's going to go from 0, and then the length of the array is 5. So it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, 5 is not less than 5. So this one actually doesn't iterate. So we get 5 iterations, but we get the correct array indices, right? Because remember, arrays start at 0, not at 1. So it's a beautiful union, like I said. It works so perfectly, loops and arrays together. So yeah, this will print out all the scores. It'll give us a nice little message here. Score, uh, score 0, and then it'll give us the actual score. So score 0 would be 90, score 1 would be 85, and so forth. And if you don't like it saying score 0, right, you can always do I plus 1. So in this example, we print out the integer elements in the scores array. The loop code is almost identical to our template, swapping in only the array name. So this is an assignment array. So yeah, check it out. We declare an empty array, size 5, integer array name is numbers. So we use a beautiful for loop. We tell it to stop at the end of the numbers array. This is going to go up by 1 each time, start at 0. And this code right here is saying, hey, on each array, you're going to assign it the value of I times 10. So the first value is 0 times 10, which is 0. So 0 times 10. And this is 1 times 10 is the next value of I. Next value of I is 2. We're going to assign it 2 times 10 to the numbers array. 3 times 10. 4 times 10. Again, a beautiful union, arrays and loops. They work so well together. And that's why I put them together, right, in this lesson. So I did mention at the very beginning of this lesson, we did a little review of the switch statement. The break statement makes a comeback. Break statements aren't only useful for switch statements, they're also useful for loops. So if you want to exit a loop early, use the break statement. Similar statement is the continue statement. That's if you want to skip just one iteration of the loop. So you don't want to leave the loop entirely. You just want to skip one of those repetitions, one of those iterations. Use the continue statement. I can tell you all day, right, what these do and how they work. Let's actually look at an example. So here's an example of the break. So in this case, we're looking for a perfect score. As soon as we find the perfect score, the 100, we're going to leave the loop. We don't want to continue looking for more scores. So we have our classic access loop here, right, for arrays. It's scores.length, starts at 0, ends at scores.length, and then iterates or increments by 1 each time. The unique thing here is we're going to put a break statement if we find a score that is equal to 100. That is the same as 100. Once we do that, we'll do this print statement, and then of course the break is going to exit the loop early. So yeah, really good use of the break here. You don't want to waste time continuing accessing the other elements in the loop if you already found what you're looking for. So use the break at your own discretion, right, when the code asks for it. So we put in a break inside the if block so that we exit the loop once we find that perfect score of 100. This means we'll exit the loop on the 4th iteration because the 100 is on the 4th one. That means we never actually access the 5th element because we leave the loop with that break statement. So yeah, 4th element, remember, is index 3, not index 4. We're going to have to hammer that in, right, so that we don't forget. So in this example, we're only interested in passing scores so we can print a friendly message. If we get a score that doesn't pass, we're going to skip. If the score is less than 60, you don't pass, so we're going to skip the rest of that iteration. So again, classic access loop, array access loop here. Start at 0, end at the length of the array, the scores array, and then increment by 1. Now here, this if loop is saying, hey, if you don't pass, because don't pass is less than 60, you're going to skip. Now, if you do pass, we're not going to actually trigger this code, right? So if you do pass, it's not going to actually skip. It's going to print a nice little message and say passing score. And then again, we do access the score by doing the name of the array and then indicate an index. The beauty of the loop, right, is we just put an I in there. And then the loop kind of takes care of the rest for us. So yeah, this is if you want to skip a certain iteration, use a continue statement. Naturally, right, it usually goes with an if, some kind of conditional. So yeah, to achieve this, we put the continue statement inside the if block to skip the failing scores. Because if score is less than 60, it's a failing score. Yeah, so we did access here and here. Now, a smart programmer, instead of repeating this code, right, they might declare a variable here that says int current score. Or let me just type that out because I'm terrible at writing with this pen. We're going to say int current score is equal to scores I. So yeah, intelligent programmer would put this line of code first, and then instead of repeating scores I multiple times, they could just put current score. It kind of does the same thing, right? In this case, it's not going to make a huge difference. But, you know, it's nice to use variables just to make the actual value more descriptive. Because scores I doesn't mean too much to us. Current score is a little bit more readable. Remember, If you write good variable names, you don't even need comments. So that's it for our lesson on loops and arrays. The best way to get familiar with this is, of course, actually using them, testing them out, tinkering with them, playing around. You'll have a chance to do that in this week's assignment and lab. And as always, if you have any questions, concerns, right, if you're stuck, I'm always here to help. We're taking a big step now, right, in the class. So don't feel bad if you need some extra help.